For over 60 years, the escape from Alcatraz has remained a legend. No bodies, no hard evidence, only cold waters and theories that refuse to fade. But in 2025, everything changed. A routine underwater survey in San Francisco Bay led to a discovery no one was prepared to face. A metal container, buried beneath layers of silt for more than half a century, was retrieved, completely sealed. Inside, three perfectly preserved bodies, prison uniforms from the 1960s, a makeshift lantern, and a torn note with trembling handwriting. We made it, but we couldn't leave. Just like that, one of the most persistent mysteries in American history was no longer folklore. The truth, cold, silent, and haunting, had finally surfaced from the depths. But if they escaped, why didn't they leave? If they survived, why stay hidden for over 50 years? And if this is the answer, have we truly understood the question? Some secrets aren't forgotten. They're simply waiting for the right moment to emerge. And perhaps some truths are better left buried. If you're ready to descend into the waters history tried to avoid, stay with us until the very end. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to uncover more secrets lost to time and fear. Built like a fortress in San Francisco Bay, Alcatraz was meant to be escape-proof. But on June 12, 1962, three men, Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers, vanished from their locked cells. Using spoons and scrap metal, they carved through vent walls, created fake heads from soap and concrete, and floated away on a raft made from 50 raincoats. The largest manhunt in U.S. history followed, but no bodies were found. Officially, they drowned. Yet over the decades, strange clues emerged. Unsigned holiday cards, flowers sent anonymously every Mother's Day, and a letter in 2018 claiming to be from John Anglin, offering a full confession in exchange for medical help. The FBI's response? Inconclusive. Then in 2025, everything changed. A sonar scan near the Golden Gate Bridge revealed something man-made, a sealed metallic container buried 60 feet deep. Inside were the preserved remains of all three men, and a note: "We made it, but we couldn't leave." DNA confirmed their identities. After 63 years, the truth surfaced, not with a headline, but with silence from beneath the bay. They didn't vanish into legend. They waited, hidden, haunting, and now finally found. The discovery made headlines, but not with fanfare. The U.S. Marshal Service quietly released a single memo, cross-referenced by California Corrections. The title read simply, "Alcatraz Escapees Located." It ended a 63-year mystery, but it also posed new disturbing questions. If they had died, why weren't they found earlier? And if they built this container, how long had they planned it? The answer may lie in the structure itself. Experts noted rivets, corrosion patterns, even air seals, suggesting not desperation, but engineering. Intentional, thought out. This wasn't a failed escape, it was something else, something darker. And perhaps, this wasn't a prison break at all, it was a countdown to what exactly the world was about to find out. This wasn't a random hiding place, it was a survival capsule, crude but calculated. Experts noted improvised ventilation shafts, insulation layers crafted from scavenged materials, and signs of preserved food and sealed water storage. It appeared to be designed not for travel, but for waiting. The structure bore hallmarks of methodical planning. Reinforced metal sheets, custom-fitted rivets, even a makeshift oxygen regulator, assembled from plumbing parts, hinted at a level of engineering far beyond what most inmates could pull off without help. More chilling than the bodies were the items found beside them. A faded photo of the Anglin brothers as children, a bar of soap carved into another dummy head, likely a fourth decoy, never deployed, and a notebook, water-damaged but still legible in parts, believed to have belonged to Frank Morris. One page read, "We got out. We beat them, but we couldn't risk the surface." Another entry simply said, "This was never the plan." Investigators now believe something went wrong. Perhaps a delay in retrieval, a mechanical failure, or a shift in tide that buried them deeper than expected. Whatever the cause, the outcome was irreversible. They didn't drown in open water. They didn't vanish into jungles or foreign lands. They stayed, underground, unseen, and unknowingly preserved by the very sediments they sank beneath. The revelation rocked both forensic science and criminal history communities. It wasn't the escape that stunned them. It was how close they came to succeeding and how quietly they were erased. But even now, the capsule raises more questions than it answers. Not just about the escape, but about what, if anything, they were truly escaping from. And why, after all these years. It still feels like the story isn't over. The raft wasn't their escape. It was their distraction. According to investigators, the plan wasn't to reach land. It was to disappear completely. The decoy raft was launched to divert search efforts while the real retreat happened underwater. Using improvised flotation devices, the trio is believed to have submerged to a hidden capsule anchored nearby, waiting for the chaos to fade. It nearly worked. Experts now think the capsule was never intended for long-term survival. It lacked renewable oxygen. No emergency override. One miscalculation, just one, and the whole plan crumbled. A shift in tides, a malfunction, a retrieval that never came. Inside the capsule, evidence tells a quiet story. Another dummy head, a ruined raft piece, a journal entry reading, "This wasn't the plan." The capsule was found in a sediment corridor so narrow that had it shifted just a few more feet, it may have never been detected, even in 2025. Forensic analysts called it a needle in the seabed, and perhaps that's the most haunting part. If they had just a little more time, a little more oxygen, we wouldn't be telling this story. They might have walked free into history, never to be seen again. Instead, they waited, silently, inches from freedom. For 63 years, the bay kept their secret, sealed tight beneath its surface. When the news broke, headlines read, "Alcatraz escapees found." But those few words couldn't capture what really happened. Not a myth, not a legend, a plan that almost worked, and a truth so quiet it took 6 decades to hear. The public's reaction was swift and split. Some mourned them as tragic figures, symbols of brilliance and defiance who dared to outthink a system built to contain them, only to be undone by the very limits of their era. Others were less forgiving. To them, these were still convicted criminals, bank robbers who manipulated a prison and society for one last gamble. But even among skeptics, there was a grudging respect for the plan, the audacity, the silence. In San Francisco, tourists returned to Alcatraz, not just for the guided tours, but to stand in the cells where history had quietly unfolded. A new exhibit was added, displaying sonar scans, forensic images, and recovered artifacts. Side by side with the infamous escape map now rests the timeline of the 2025 discovery. The U.S. Marshals, who technically kept the case open for decades, closed it with little ceremony. No press conference. Just a memo. Case concluded. Escapees located. But for the Anglin family, it wasn't closure. It was quiet devastation. For decades, they'd clung to hope, of freedom, of reinvention. Now they knew. The escape was real, but so was the end. Their sons had made it, but not far. Frank Morris left no known relatives, but his water-damaged notebook will be preserved by the National Archives. Scholars now study its cryptic entries not just as evidence, but as a window into human resolve and desperation. Because in the end, this wasn't just a prison break. It was a blueprint of belief, and perhaps the most haunting truth is that some answers don't rise until long after the world stops asking. The story of Alcatraz doesn't end with freedom. It ends 60 feet below, in a steel tomb built by hands desperate to outlast time. For over 6 decades, we wondered if they escaped. Now we know. They did. But the price wasn't liberty. It was silence. A capsule, a journal, a final line. Not how we planned it. These men didn't vanish into legend. They waited beneath it. And perhaps that's the true escape. Not running, but being remembered. What do you think? Was this a triumph of spirit or a warning lost in the tide? Let us know in the comments below. And if you feel that pull to keep searching, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a step in our journey to uncover what still hides on this earth. Thank you for watching. and I'll see you next time.